everyone, and good day to you, ma'am. By the way, I am Aika Reyes. So, now I'm going to tackle the cognitive and metacognitive factors in learning. So, for our intended learning outcome is to analyze research findings to explain cognition and metacognition factors in learning. So now, what is cognition? Cognition, it refers to the mental process involved in gaining knowledge and comprehension. Or ang cognition dahil is nagbibigay malay ng ating kaalaman. So this process include thinking, knowing, remembering, judging, and problem solving. Like for example, you are remembering the dates and the history of the Philippines. So these are higher level functions of your brain and encompass language, imagination, and perception. So, mao to ang cognitive or cognition. Next is metacognition. Metacognition, it comes from the root meta, meaning beyond. It refers to a higher order thinking which involves over a cognitive process engaged in learning. It is an appreciation of what one already know or thinking about thinking. Like for example, you can build easily what you are think about and you are explain in your own words. Like for example, self-assessment or self-correction. So you can build easily. Yeah. And also it refers to the learner's understanding and control of their cognitive process. So meaning, if na ay cognition, na po metacognition. Pero mag-una lang ang cognition before ang metacognition. Next is learning points. Factors in learning related to development of cognition and metacognition. The first one is intelligence. Sternberg triartic theory of intelligence. It was proposed by Robert G. Sternberg and it was proposed in year 1985. It helped adults educators to understand the dynamic and interrelated qualities of human intelligence and its potential bearing in everyday life or potential na nagdudulot or dulot sa ating pang-araw-araw na buhay. So, there are factors of Sternberg triartic theory of intelligence. So, number one is practical intelligence. As what Miss Rochelle's report, she said that practical intelligence is ability to do well in formal and informal education settings, adapting to shaping one's environment. Street smart. So, aside sa akong research is a practical intelligence is a ability to function effectively in daily situation or based on practice, not only theory of ideas. Like for example, to understand about the lessons topic that needed to practice. So, from the word practical, practical is to practice. So, need yun ta mag-practice para makasabot ta sa lessons. Next is experiential intelligence. Ability to adapt new situations and produce new ideas based on ideas and creatively. So, mao to ang experiential or from the word experiential is to experience. So, di ba, kung maka-experience ta na po tayo ma-learn. Ug dili ta ka-experience, dili po ta ka kung ano unsa na siya. So, next is Number 2 is Age by Jean Piaget, year 1896 to 1980. She would develop the first major theory of cognitive development. Piaget was a stage theorist who devised a domain general account and who believed that learning was experience-based. So, si Jean Piaget is usa sa nituo nga learning was experience-based. Kung unsay ang learning is nag-agi sa imuhang experience. Next is level of education. Is studies constructed by Carlo 2012. It equips individuals with the knowledge and skill required to navigate life's complexities and contribute to their community's development. There are different types of strategies according to level of education. The first are primary education. Second is secondary education. Primary education strategies focus on fundamental skill or kana sila is dependent. Diba kung bata ka kay magdepende man jud ka og unsay ikuan sa maestra. Like kanang unsay mga itudlo, maminaw jud kay nana. Like sa secondary education emphasize subject and specialization, and higher education it involves more independent learning and critical thinking. Ang secondary is mas daghan na sila nahibal-an. Secondary, independent na sila og unsay kanang ikuan sa mga lessons, nya more on subjects na sila. Next is number 4, use of cognitive strategies in instruction. Are used to improve cognition and metacognition, and those greater metacognitive abilities to tend to be more successful in their cognitive endeavor. For example, encouraging discussions about what being taught, or the teacher are helping students to explore and understand new ideas are connected the realization of strategies. Next is suggested strategies to help students process information. There are 11 strategies suggested. So, number 1 is provide organized instruction, make structure and relations of the materials evident to learners through concept, maps, or other graphics presentation. Number 2, use single context presentations. Allows the learners to focus attention rather than split attention between two stimuli. Like for example, the writing material and corresponding diagram. Number 3, link new material with what is already known. Use mental scaffolding techniques for the new material. For example, begin a new lesson by activating student prior knowledge related to the topic, or their brains make connection between what they already know and the new information being presented. Number 4, carefully analyze the attention demands of instruction, or count the number of elements in instructional messages. Then other side, make sure the learner will not attend to too many different elements at the same time. Number 5, recognize the limits of attention. Helps learners focus their attention through the techniques such as identifying the most important points to be learned in advance of studying new material. For example, allowing students to focus on specific aspects. Number 6, recognize the limitation of short-term memory. Apply the concept of chunking. Like for example, do not present 25 separate items. Make them 5 groups of 5. Number 7, Match encoding strategies with the material to the learned. Do not encourage use of phenomenomics. Number 7. Match encoding strategies with the material to the learned. Number 8. Provide opportunities for both verbal and imaginal encoding. For educators, dual coding provides a way to improve students' learning and engagement with material by providing them with more than one way to understand and remember that they learned. So, di ba conventional wisdom said, dictated that everyone learns differently. Lain-lain man jud ang kuan sa tao. Kanang naiuban nga some people are visual learners and some of others is verbal learners. So number 9, arrange a variety of practice opportunities to help the learners generalize the concept, principle, or skill to be learned. For example, this ensures diverse learning experiences catering to different learning style and enhancing overall skill development. Or kanang pamaagi sa kanang experience nimo kanang learning style and enhancing sa imong skill is kuan na sa imong arrangement of variety of practice opportunities kanang. Number 10. Eliminate redundancy. So, redundant information between text and diagram has been shown to decrease learning. Number 11. Help learners become self-regulated. So, it is assist students in selecting and using strategies such as summarizing and questioning. Implications of cognitive theories or teaching and learning. It is important for teachers to develop to the highest possible limit the cognitive and metacognitive abilities to students. This could be achieved by applying classroom techniques toward this objective. Basic characteristic of a classroom instruction based on cognitive theories. Letter E. Emphasize on the active involvement in the learner in the learning process or learning control. Letter B. Cognitive training or self-planning, monitoring, and revising techniques. Letter D. Use of hierarchical analysis to identify and illustrate prerequisite, relationship, or cognitive task analysis procedure. Letter D is emphasize on structuring, organizing, and sequencing information to facilitate optimal processing or outlining, summarize, and advance organize. Letter E. Creation of learning environment that allows and encourages students to make connections with previously learned materials. Next, so teaching methods based on principle of cognitive learning theory. Number 1 is cognitive apprenticeship. It is a method of helping students grasp concepts and procedures under the guidance of teachers and experts. Following are the basis of instruction. Letter E. Modeling. The teacher does the task or explain the process. Letter B. Coaching. The student to do the same task and teachers observe the student and give feedback on how to do it. C. Articulation. Students are asked to think out loud about how they perform the task and offers reasons for the strategies. Teachers can give feedback and determines if there are misconceptions. Letter D. Reflection. Reflection is the student retrospectively think of their performance in their completing the task. Exploration. Teacher urged the student to identify the problem, formulate hypotheses, and seek needed information to solve it. Number 2. Reciprocal teaching. It is a form of dialogue or exchange between teachers and students about certain parts of the lesson. The purpose is to derive meaning out loud of the part of the lessons to facilitate understanding and learning. So, there are 4 strategies to the dialogue, including the summarizing, question generating, clarifying, and predicting. For example, involves teacher and student taking turns to lead the discussion and asking questions. Number 3. Anchored instruction. Use of anchors while doing instruction like stories, cases, or situations. And essentially problem-based. For example, real-life budgeting. Task student with planning a budget for hypothetical scenario like organizing a school event. Number 4. Inquiry learning. Resemblance the scientific inquiry method. It helps the student develop their higher order thinking skill by engaging them in investigating an issue or formulating hypotheses to find solution to a problem. Like for example, have students formulate their own scientific questions, design experiment, and analyze the results. Then number 5 is discovery learning. An approach where students interact with their environment, manipulate things, explore, do experiment for them to discover principle and important relationship. Like for example, science experiment allows students to explore scientific principle through hands-on experiment, or student actively discovered and construct knowledge. Number 6. Problem-based learning. A real-life problem or an ill-structured question is presented to the student having many possible solutions, and they are asked to find or come up with the most appropriate or best solutions. Like for example, create opportunities for students to actively engage with the material, collaborate with peers, and apply their knowledge to solve meaningful problems. And that's all for today. Thank you.